Hi Vishnu, good evening. My name is
Good evening.
Rohit. Can you hear me?
Hello, can you hear me? Hold
And
on a
we
second.
can, absolutely.
One second. Sorry. I think as you.
Yeah, you're on mute now.
Hey, sorry about that.
Perfect, this works. Hi everyone. Thank you for joining us for these Ask Me Anything sessions wherein project leaders, project owners, and project mentors come face to face in a more virtual world and try and answer your questions, explain about their projects, explain about their expectations from the potential applications and externs. Today we start with uh, I mean Deepsource. So Vishnu Devan is representing Deepsource. Deepsource is fast and reliable static analysis platform. Deepsource helps uh, developers and everyone else write clean code on every pull request. Built for engineering teams who would like to move fast, do not break things, etc., etc. I welcome Vishnu to this Ask Me Anything session. The way we do it, Vishnu, is you talk about the project and what your expectations are, and then we'll ask or the questions that will get triggered out during the entire session. Over to you, sir.
All right. So I'll probably share my screen. So just to make it a little easier. Uh, Oops. One sec. Okay. One sec. I don't know if you guys can see my screen.
Not
Uh,
yet.
okay. All right, probably I'll go on without the deck. So I'll just start by walking you guys through what Deepsource is. So Deepsource is what we like to call ourselves a continuous code quality platform. So what that means is that whenever you push some code, you probably would have worked with when you work with code, you probably have these continuous integration and continuous deployment pipelines, right? So what we are is continuous code quality platform, which kind of gets into your workflow as a as and when you push code, or as and when you ship software, we integrate directly into the source code, and we monitor for the quality of the code that is being shipped, right? So we integrate with your GitHub, your Bitbucket, all the other version control systems, and we look for changes in your code and analyze that for bugs, security vulnerabilities, or style issues, etc. And we report this to the user. Now, on top of this, we also are in a position to basically automatically fix your source code. So as and when we detect a bug, we can suggest you, hey, this is how you go and fix this. You click one button, and that basically raises a pull request. So this is where Deepsource is at the moment. So in terms of the GitHub Externship project, there are two projects that we've kind of wanted to work on. So these projects where internally we were discussing on how to go about it, and we've been we wanted to launch this as an open source project as well. So there are two things that we kind of wanted to get started with. One is the first project is something called a deep health check system. So if you have ever worked with something like a like an uptime check, etc. So the uptime check is basically you have a service that is up and running. There is and your health check service will just ping one HTTP endpoint, check whether it returns 200 okay, and says, hey, this service is good. But this kind of does not solve the actual problem. So sometimes the service, that endpoint might work, but say that service is not able to reach the database, or that service is not able to reach a RabbitMQ, right? That is going to impact that basically means that the service is actually unusable, but it just still says it is up. So this is kind of where we wanted to build a solution which would do a very cursory look at the dependencies as well. So we will build a system which we already have some amount of structure around it. So I'll be opening up a open source repository in the next couple of days with what we have in our mind. And so the system will basically ping all of these services, and the services will tell them, hey, I also have a dependency and this dependency is down. And based on that, the health check service should be able to notify the user, or maybe send out a tweet saying, hey, we are experiencing issues with our database. So we are probably not up at this point, right? So this is something that we wanted to build out. And there are a couple of complexities into this. So one is this would require some amount of engineering at the application level. So probably we would have to write plugins or libraries that can be integrated into most of the libraries, and a combination. Say, for example, there could be a Django library for Apollo with a Postgres connector. So it could possibly do a select date now, and it will check whether, hey, is this application able to reach the service? So this is one of the things that we wanted to bring up. So this is one. So we will be open sourcing some of the architecture and stuff that we have thought about, which we have had very preliminary discussions about. So when you send a proposal, what we are looking for is for somebody to actually read up about this. So there is something called Patterns of Resilient Architecture, which is a great source of reading for this particular design system. So you look at that, you look at how other people are doing, and propose a system that would kind of play into this, right? So for example, there are a lot of challenges around this. So can we have service discovery inbuilt into this? Or can we look at just the Kubernetes files and figure out, do we really need to integrate with the application at some point? Is there a way to do it without that? So these are the things. There are a lot of open questions, and we're also looking for more such open questions to be brought up and solutions to these. So this is one of the first projects that I kind of wanted to talk about. So in terms of the project, so we prefer that it be written in Go. But that would also mean if you're integrating it with an application, the application libraries would probably have to be written in the language that the library, the other applications are built in. Say, for example, for Django, there could be a Django plugin that could be written for the service, etc. So this is the first project. Now I'll kind of skip over to the next one. So the next one is it sounds pretty simple. So what we want to build is a simple notifications engine. Right. So if you've seen a lot of notification engines being built, it's basically just a WebSocket server pushing some data into the browser. Now, one of the problems that we faced is basically how do you style the text. So for example, if you have a notification, most probably there would be a toast or a alert message component that is in this UI. Besides that, there is no ability for us to push in real-time, say, a fully built view into the browser using notifications. So this is something that we kind of wanted to work with. It is an average size problem. So now there are a bunch of things to this side. So one is how do you manage the WebSocket server, and how do you push messages into it? Is it going to be over HTTP? Is it going to be over some sort of a queue, etc.? So that is one aspect of it. Now on the other side of it, we would want to figure out how do we now it would probably have two parts to it. One is you will have to write a library of sorts in the browser that would basically interpret the HTML or the source code that is being sent. Now you would also have to write the rendering engine that would live on the service that would spit out well-built HTML already. So there are libraries and frameworks around this, but we would want to productize this and make it into a tool that everybody can use. So yeah, so these are the kind of two broad domains that are there. So one of the things that we will be doing in the next 2 days is basically we'll have the open source repos up and published, and we will also have our thought about the document. We'll have a rough architecture documentation that we think we should do. Now, in your proposals, we expect you to dig deeper and find more problems with our solution and suggest improvements to that. And once these proposals are accepted, we will also be working on this along with you, so you will become part of that team who's building this and open sourcing this to the world. So in terms of projects, that's pretty much it. In terms of the kind of people that you would work with, so we have one of the some really good engineers, so pretty famous in most of the open source communities. We will be working with. So Srijan here is the lead for the language analysis team. So we have two teams here. So one team deals with the platform engineering side, which takes care of the orchestration and the integrations with your version control systems, like your GitHub integrations, etc. And the language team primarily deals with writing tools for the analysis itself. So how do you analyze the source code to basically generate how do you find bugs or how do you find issues with your code? So that is Srijan leads the team. So I would open it up to everyone probably to ask questions and shoot questions our way.
There are one or two questions that have come. I'll try and highlight them here. Would I ask?
Correct. Yeah. So we do not have a very clear goal as to how your proposal should be. Yes, a system design document would be great. So it need not be just like a completely. I don't know if you would want to do something that I'm sure in college you would have had classes on how to do UML diagrams and stuff. So we probably don't expect a UML diagram or anything. Anything that would explain your concept very clearly. It could be a use case flow diagram, or it could be a time flow diagram. It could be just a flow chart of how you would expect things to do. So yes, anything goes in terms but the more diagrams, the better. It's easier to understand for us as well. Of text rank, does a participant need to have, or is it flexible that the participant in the so some amount of we expect some amount of programming skills for sure. So you would have to know your way around the languages to some extent. But a lot of the other things can be, so since you're going to be actually working with an engineer while building this problem, you would probably learn a lot of these things. So for example, if you want to understand more about RabbitMQ, for example, which is the internal queue service that we use, so we would be able to help you with understanding that and kind of train you up around that. Are you looking for an idea? So there is not a lot of prior experience or skills that we're looking for, but you should know your way around Go. That is pretty much the most important thing. You should be able to write code. You should also be able to write tests, and should at least understand how to write a simple test, etc. So I'm pretty sure nobody in college probably wrote tests most of the time, unless you've been involved in the open source community. So yeah, so tests, how do you write a test? How do you basically at least you should be comfortable with the language to write a system, which is both Go and Python. Can we propose a Python solution? Yes. So we wouldn't mind the Python solution as well. We probably would keep some of the course functionality in Go as well, Go itself, but a lot of the external components, etc., would be in Python. Yes.
Well, there are more questions that are cropping up. I want to ask a very, very silly question. What do you expect them to work out so that they impress you? I mean, it's very simple. It's like their proposal should have these three things for you to get impressed. What are those three?
So I don't have three things. I'll tell you one thing. One thing is, have they spent enough time researching on this? Have they Googled enough? Is the question that we have. If there is a lot of, so we started the system a couple of weeks ago. I've been doing a lot of Googling around this. I've been reading. So for example, we've been reading the AWS docs. AWS has a similar implementation for its DNS system. So we've been reading that. So what we expect is people, do they have the ability to go and research? So most of engineering happens like that. As a junior engineer, 90% of your learning happens online. So yes, so that is something that we would look for. That would be the primary skill that we would look for. college go to any tech stack we prefer. Yes, we wouldn't mind any languages per se. We would be able to, uh, so, but we also have some amount of skill sets in some languages. So we would be much better, be capable of mentoring you in some languages. For example, we would be able to mentor you in JavaScript or Python or Go, etc. But then if you write it in C or C++, probably we wouldn't have the right people to mentor you. So that is one thing. But pretty much, since we are a language shop, we probably have engineers who work in most of the languages. So yes, probably you can propose it in you can work in whichever language you want.
More like what I had asked.
And
Maybe
so the problems we find and possible solution, and what other things. Yeah, so that is it. So the problems that you find, the research that you do, so it is a greenfield project, which is a good thing in itself. So we are looking for ideas that we might not have thought of, and even if we have thought of it, we would want it to be, there probably is a it's always good to have more people looking at the problem and finding problems with it. Example, dummy project proposal. No, not at all. So we would rather you outline how you would be building it. If you were to build it from scratch, how would you build it? But we do not expect any code in your proposal, or while you're starting up. So we will help you set up the workflow, and we'll set you up with how the project is going to go once we review your proposal, and then you can work with us with that.
right. While more questions come, if there are more questions for you, Vishnu and Srijan, in during the journey of applications process, how can these potential externs or applicants can reach out to you while
Yeah.
we
So
while you're
yeah,
there
so
on the
we'll be hanging around on the Discord server for the GitHub Externship project, and you could always shoot us, connect to us over an email or Twitter. So, and we also have our own Discord channel, so you can probably join there as well. So whatever means works, but we prefer the Discord channel of the GitHub Externship project. So we would be hanging out there. Hold on. Yep. Explain about distributed real-time messaging system, and is this project already working or need to be developed from scratch? So we have some form of this already being built. We would be open sourcing that in the coming days, but it would have to be built from scratch in a way, but you would be working closely with the engineers in Deepsource who would be building that along with them. So it's not like you would have to do it on your own. You would probably be you'll be owning some part of this, or based on your proposal, you'll be responsible for some part of it, and we'll help you kind of integrate that workflow into our coding process. So it is basically like, it's not even like an internship, it's just like you're working along in our team. Should it be a microservice architecture? Probably not the right question here, but yeah. So if I was to tell you, probably not. This itself is a microservice. So this is probably a small enough problem to warrant it being a small service. So it is a microservice which would fit into Deepsource's internal ecosystem, and probably hopefully other ecosystems as well.
There's one comment I'll not put it out here. Someone is asking, if they do not get selected, God forbid, can they still be part of the project? Would you allow them to
Yes,
work on?
it would be on GitHub. It will be open source, and that would mean if there is an issue that is open, we are more than happy to have you contribute.
More
Work from
operational question.
yes, I'm not sure yet. I'll
Yeah,
be honest with you. We would love for you to come down to office and at least hang out sometime, so that you get to meet all these people. But depending on a case to case basis, we can figure that out later.
Would you want to
Okay.
address? I think that's part of the application process, but I thought I'll just kind of request you to address it for like 30
List
seconds.
proposal type where it asks to list
Sorry.
sorry, I proposal existing feature request new features, etc. Yeah, so this being a greenfield project, it we would expect you to think about the problem as a whole, as a system as a whole, rather than it being, a simple feature, or a single feature part of it. So what we would expect is, okay, this is the problem that I think we should solve, and this is how I envision how this can be solved, supported with your architecture diagrams or wireframes or flowcharts, etc.
Vishnu, a lot of people are asking where are you? Which city are you based out of?
We are based out of Bangalore. Yeah, so the engineering team sits here in Bangalore.
I think you've already addressed this question, but I thought
They be suggesting should they be suggesting features that should be integrated with the system? See, like I said, we will be implementing this with you. So the whole system is going to be built as a collective effort of the engineers in Deepsource as well as you. So you might propose, you can propose the whole system. So we might find something. There might be things that we might not have thought of. So we would be absorbing that into our design process, and we'll add that as part of the architecture documentation that would be live. And you will probably be working on some parts of it and contributing. Yeah, it could be some module, it could be some particular flow. On what part of AWS we have to research? Can you please explain? I was just giving an example there, but the actual documentation. So if you check, just Google for deep health check patterns, you would find something about AWS Route 53, and you would find some documentation around that. Not documentation, a couple of blog posts around that. So that probably is a good starting point just to understand how they do it, etc.
looks like there are no more questions. Anything else that they should know, Vishnu, before they apply? And I wanted to make it a request to everyone who's part of the AMA session today. Uh, like Vishnu said, we are expecting you to give ideas. We are expecting you to give solutions, and then work with mentors. Neither are you expected to build anything out of scratch. You're not right up there currently. So you'll essentially be working with the mentors, with the leaders like Vishnu and Srijan to one enhance your skills and build what they ask you to build or they are expecting you to build. So it's very uh, GitHub Externship is a process wherein you work on real time industry projects and work with mentors to build something. So no one is expecting you to build something on your own.
Yes. One last thing would be, when you send in your proposals, if you could write a small write up about who you are, what have you done so far, what is there any your GitHub what projects have you done, why did you do it? Give us a basic idea about who you are. That would, kind of help us understand you better and make a decision on the project. And in one last thing is, so Deepsource has how much time commitment do you expect per day per week?
So
Uh, yeah.
I'll
So
address
yeah.
it as part of
Yeah.
GitHub Externship. We are looking at about 25 to 30 hours a week minimum, and it'll largely be dependent upon the mentors that you work with.
Correct.
Yes.
So one
So
last thing is, so at Deep Source, so most of our interns, so we have a bunch of interns who have built a lot of cool stuff. All of them started off just like you guys. Came into college, came from college in the third year or second year. Have been building. For example, our Rust analyzer was built completely by an intern, and we've worked with a lot of interns previously. And our primary thing is, we do not treat interns, we do not send interns to get coffee for sure, but so we basically work with them, we sit next to them, we treat them just the same way as, I would treat any other engineer in the team. So that is how it is going to be even for the GitHub extension project. So you closely work with us. It's basically like you'll have the same amount of accountabilities as the next engineer who is next to you. And yeah, so that is what I would want to close with.
one again, my final question is there: would you be interviewing these folks? What's the process? So
Probably
you
not.
will see the applications project
Probably not,
proposal.
but I would love to have a chat with them. It would probably will not be probably. I mean, we'll never do a DSR go round for sure. We'll probably just have a chat to just understand, what they do, what their ideas are, etc. And would love to get to know them. Yes.
I do not understand the meaning of this question.
What
Maybe you're the
topic
best person.
as a student to study upon? Uh, okay, I'm also not sure. It probably isn't. There is no present form yet. In the present form, what we would be doing is whatever thoughts we have, we would write a document around that, put it as a readme.md on the GitHub profile, on the GitHub repository, and you can use that as a guiding document. Like, what do you think it is? What we think it is what we would put on the readme, and from there, everything else you will have to search on Google and find out. Stack Overflow, Google, GitHub, uh, Twitter. I don't know. Yeah. So wherever you find your content, that's where you find it.
Anything else? Uh, Again, I mean, it's a good question.
Yes, we would probably, if depending on the circumstances, and if we love somebody and we really like their work, we would probably roll out an offer somewhere down the line, or continue as it as an internship within our organization. Depends. It's on a case by case cases, but it is a definite possibility. Yes.
Anything else? Any question? Since you would be all of you would be working essentially with Srijan. Srijan, can you just do a basic introduction of yours and we'll end this, right?
Yeah, sure. So, thank you, Rohit. So, I actually lead the language engineering team here at Deepsource. So, our team helps build the deep source analyzers that you see. So, we take care of the Python analyzer, Go analyzer, and all the analyzer you see. So, we work with abstract syntax trees and write the rules and things like that. Yeah.
Before you leave, just answer this question. This is like,
Yes. So knowing the tech stack of Deepsource, so I would tell you what our tech stack is, honestly. So we work with Python, we work with Go, we work with Rust, we work with Java, work with PHP, we work with JavaScript, we work with TypeScript. We probably will start working with C Sharp, C. So since we are a code quality company, we have an engineering team that works across all the languages. So uh, probably that you cannot understand the whole tech stack, but knowing Python or Django probably might help you understand a little bit of uh, in some parts of the project. That might come in handy, but that is by no means a requirement.
I hope Vishnu has been able to answer all the questions. Thank you for your time today. I think we're right on the. I don't know. I do. Is English the preferred language only? Could the internal
Yes.
conversations be in any sort of other language?
Probably not, because most of our teams are from different areas of the country, and probably that we have non-tech folk from outside India as well. So we probably would have to stick to English, because everybody understands that, unfortunately or fortunately.
No, no. Thank you so much, Vishnu and Srijan. Thank you for your time.
Thanks a lot, Rohit.
Thank you.
I had a very nice deck present prepared with photos,
Yeah.
but
Right.
yeah, as usual. No worries, no
Right.
worries. All right. Thanks a lot. Bye bye,
Yeah.
guys.
Hi, Sudeep. Good evening.
Hey, hi.
Thank you for
Hi,
your
Rohit.
time.
Good evening.
Hi.
Hey,
Uh,
hi.
Everyone. Sudeep is from Numocity Technologies. Numocity Technologies writes software solutions that power the charging infrastructure for electrical vehicles. As you know,
Yep.
EVs are the in thing, and everyone is talking about. So Sudeep is the most important person in the project that you should listen to today. Their vision is to eliminate hurdles in the path of electric mobility. They lay stress on fundamental engineering in the software to ensure speed and quality of delivery to their partners. Over to you, Sudeep.
Hey, thanks, Rohit, and yeah, welcome everybody. And yeah, thanks for joining late in the evening. And also, many of you, I think, have also submitted assignments on GitHub. So that's also great. And thanks for all the participation. Some of you have submitted assignments. I have given reviews, and you have responded to the reviews as well. It's that conversation that's very important. Okay, so from the beginning, what is Numocity? Yeah, like Rohit said, we are into charging infrastructure. What does charging infrastructure mean? Uh, if you take the literal meaning of charging infrastructure, then it's about getting charge into a vehicle in the context of electric vehicles. In the context of your mobile, it is getting like charge into your mobile and that way. So uh, energy delivery is the infrastructure. The infrastructure, of course, starts with production of energy all the way to transmission and consumption in the vehicle. So technically, it is just that actually. You have sources of energy, you have the grid to transport the energy, and you have either your mobile or electric vehicle or a home or anything that needs to be powered. Now, why are electric vehicles so, I mean, growing in such a big pace? uh, is of course one thing is clean energy and so on. The other thing, actually more important, is the cost of fishing out the fossil fuels. I mean, it takes energy to take out the fuel from the earth. And if you compare it to like the 1940s or 1950s, we are spending a lot more energy today to get fuel out of the earth. It's going to keep increasing. At some point, we will have to spend as much energy as we get the hydrocarbon out. So this has to end at some point. And of course, all the that's the economic compulsion. The more the green energy and those kind of compulsions are also driving people towards electric vehicles. But it's not going to be an easy journey, right? So you probably all know that the electric vehicles are tough to charge. They take a long time to charge, and it's not like you can charge anywhere. You can charge at your home, of course, but if you have to go from Bangalore in the south to Delhi in the north, you are 100% assured that you can do that in a diesel or a petrol vehicle. In an electric vehicle, yeah, it's a little bit of a hit and miss. You have to do your research before, know where to stop, and then yeah, sometimes you stop, but then the charger is not working. Then you continue and so on. The other space of charging where you don't charge at home is, of course, apartments. So in the basement of an apartment, you could have charging outlets, but then yeah, if you're consuming like an electric car, then you'll consume a lot of energy, and that is not good for the apartment people. Nobody's going to share that cost just because two people in the apartment have electric vehicles. So there is some infrastructure needed. Infrastructure, that's where Numocity comes in, the software infrastructure. This has two parts to it. So one is purely about the energy delivery and the billing. This is just to make sure that whoever is charging is getting billed and not others. So this is again, in the case of electric vehicles, particularly difficult, because in an apartment, if you think of a wall socket where you can plug in your electric scooter, then yeah, you could scan an RF code like a vending machine. You can scan, pay. There is no big deal, right? So you can plug in your vehicle and then go home. Of course, right after you're out of the basement, anybody else can plug it out, plug in their scooter, and then charge it the entire night. And in the morning, you're wondering why your scooter is not charged. So there is dynamics over here which are not easily solved. On the other hand, if there is a battery that can charge in less than 5 minutes, then you just stand there, charge for less than 5 minutes, pay whatever it is, and then go, like a classic vending story. Okay, so there is a lot of challenge over here in terms of time of charging, availability of charging. Okay, that's what Numocity is solving today. but we are very clear also that the solution does not lie in the same space as the problem. I mean, the apartment use case I told you, I think it cannot be solved. I mean, you can put locks to that charger, the plug, and things like that, but then yeah, it's not really a good solution actually. What also needs to happen is kind of an ecosystem. So if everybody has electric vehicles, then it makes it easier because then you can have community charging and so on. But till then, we have to build the ecosystem. We have to build an ecosystem where trust is there and where energy is clean and people are having a feeling that we are also contributing. At some point, the electric vehicles will be so many, the battery uh, technology will evolve to charge fast enough that these things will not be a problem. But till then, it's like a classic, that chicken and egg. Unless you have many people buying vehicles, there will not be enough R&D investments to make better batteries. Unless there are better batteries, everybody doesn't become purchase vehicles. So what's the way out of this, right? So uh, yeah, for uh, excuse me, let me check. Okay, my connection is still there. There was some power outage due to rain. Okay, good. So, what's the way out of this? We believe the way out of this is through building an ecosystem, including the energy manufacturing, transmission, and consumption, and also using the pillars of digital technology. So, digital technology pillars are three. Uh, you can experience it in any digital uh, transformation that you take. I'll list the three pillars and give you examples because these three pillars form the basis of our software journey. So in digital transformation, the three pillars are the feeling of having control, uh, extreme personalization, and peace of mind. Right? You can experience this. I'll take non-EV examples first, and then come to what's going on in the EV side. Non-electric vehicle example. So you order something on Amazon, you send something by courier, DTDH, or any of those Blue Dart or anything. What's important, really what's important, is that you get the package, right? So but then you keep checking on your mobile, where is it, where is it now, where is it now? And yeah, it has no real value. You get it when you get it, but in between, if you are able to see where is the package, it gives you a feeling of control, peace of mind. So somehow seeing that data makes it better. If there is a courier company that gives no feedback at all and a courier company that does give feedback, you will go to the courier company that does give feedback. So there is a worth to peace of mind and the feeling of control. I have not covered the third pillar, which is the personalization part. I'll come to that. So if you take a bank, yeah, so in a bank, you have an app which you can see your balance, or you can have an app through which you can spend some money, scan QR codes and stuff like that. Maybe it also gives you facility to invest in a fixed deposit or something. Okay, so you have feeling of control that you can see your balance anytime. When something happens, they send you an SMS, so much less chance of misuse. uh, you're not wondering where did my money go because you can always see the balance over there. So peace of mind, feeling of control. Personalization, somehow everybody misses, right? So bank is not really like a person. They show your balance up to the last paisa. Am I interested in knowing how many rupees and paisa I have every time I look at it? Actually, no. As a person, why am I seeing my bank account? Okay, one is to avoid getting cheated, and that's all there. But then more importantly, I'm seeing my bank account to know that will I have enough in future, right? So a really personalized finance app will see my spending habits, my earning potential, my current earning, and then say that whatever I'm making is enough for a normal person to save enough for his future, and so on, so on. But that no app does that right now. So the personalization is missing, but it will get there. So yeah, you have different apps doing this business for you, but for some reason, all those companies care more about their financial security than mine. So the personalization is missing. So that's where, if you see the project listed on our GitHub, the externship page, it says consumer driven flows, right? Consumer driven contract is the name. You can Google if you want to find more tools about the subject. But the consumer driven data flow is what we like to call it. So if you see a banking application, it is a data driven flow, in the sense bank has some data. My SP account is in fact a ledger. uh, yeah, it has some transactions, it has a balance, and that's what they're showing me. The entire thing is data driven. It's not consumer driven. As a consumer, I want to know whether I have enough money, whether I'm making enough money. Do I have? Am I going to have financial problems? Do I have to cut my spending, increase my earning? These are my worries when I'm looking at money. But then what it shows is the ledger. So in the same way, in the coming back to consumer driven data flows and electric vehicles, we want to put the consumer up front, right? So we want to put the consumer of the electricity or the electric vehicle up front. Uh, if you really remove all the technology or everything from underneath, what does a person want finally is transport, uh, cheap, available, and hassle free. So you can see again the three pillars of digital transformation coming in. Uh, you you can depend on Ola, Uber, except when it is raining and you really want a car, you will not get it. So yeah, there is no like peace of mind there. You want to drive an electric vehicle, but not enough public chargers. Even if you go to a public charger, you can see in Team BHP and other forums, there are a lot of articles that yeah, when you have a smooth journey, people put it on social media. That's how rare it is actually. So uh, yeah, this is the problem we are trying to solve. We believe that this problem cannot be solved by having more and more hardware, putting lock to that plugs and things like that. We believe this problem can be solved only by putting you in the center. You as in people who need transport, people who want clean energy. These are the people who have to be put in the center of the solution. So that's what is consumer driven contracts, consumer driven data flows doing in electric vehicles. I've not yet explained what is the project about. Uh, but in the meantime, I could just maybe we could just a moment. Yeah, yeah, we could just have a very short uh, poll. I'll just put a URL in the chat. I mean, as you're listening, I'll not pause for getting results on this one. It's a Google form that just says, as a electric vehicle user, what is your uh, main concern? So yeah, it's just something for you to think about as we talk. I'll not review your responses inside this meeting. It's an anonymous survey, so you should be able to answer it without entering your personal information. Uh, okay, good. So uh, what is the project about in Numocity? So when you're interning with us, uh, what we want to do is establish the consumer driven data flow, which means we need certain tools to be established, certain DevOps flows to be done to just get this story right, to get a story from the consumer, to fit it into the platform, to bring it down to the backend, to get it down to the database. So there are many use cases in which this can happen. The basic use case is how long will my vehicle take to charge? How frequently can I charge? If I charge my battery, then yeah, how many cycles will it come? Very often, if you use your electric vehicle, come home after a long drive and then immediately charge it, the temperature of the battery will be high. When you charge the battery at a high temperature, its life goes down. So there's a lot of concerns of a electric vehicle user that we need to address, other than of course charging and paying for it, which is what we are doing now. So there is also a need for people to feel that they are contributing. So I'm using an electric vehicle, how much carbon am I saving? Am I really contributing to the society? What if my grid is supplying electricity, but the company which is doing that is completely coal fired generators? Then I'm not contributing anything. My petrol vehicle is replaced by coal, which is of no use. Okay, so these are the kind of things that many users come up with. uh, there are many of these use cases, so we'll take one by one and implement. Which use case you will be working on depends on the timing and everything. So we have generally visibility of around 1 month. So as I know, you will start your internships in Jan 15th and then go for 3 months. So during those months, you will get a lot of pieces of the puzzle which will fit into this consumer-driven data flows. It's a new concept. You will probably not find too many examples of consumer-driven flows. Like I said, you take any app, any bank, or anything, they are data-driven. They are not consumer-driven. So it's fairly new. The kind of That's why we don't have any standard tools established for developing software in consumer-driven way. So consumer-driven will be your focus, of course, in the EV context. But yeah, we are a software company, and you will encounter a lot of software here and methods of producing software like clean coding and so on, which we are very particular about, because yeah the kind of use cases I have told you, there is pretty much only software, and the software has to be extremely reliable and also do the same thing every time you tell it to do something. So that's how the users get confidence in us. If it's charging sometimes, not charging sometimes, if it's telling you something one day and something else the other day, yeah, people will stop using it. So that's why we stress a lot on clean code. So maybe just to summarize what you'll gain by the internship: digital transformation pillars, uh, consumer driven data flows, and of course in the electric vehicle in the ecosystem. Right. So technology wise, our backend runs on Node.js, front end runs on Flutter. So it's a Flutter app that you will see. And many of our software solutions right now, they are powering other companies. So we whitelist and give it to them. So that means we put the company's logo, and so usually they are either companies manufacturing charge points, or companies which don't manufacture charge points but handle charging networks on highways and things. Some of them are governments also. Good. So I think I better keep the last part for questions. I'll stop talking now.
No, I mean, it was good interaction for sure. We had pushed the survey. I believe it needs permission, and lot of people have written in the comments that maybe you'll have
Oh,
to make it open for everyone.
okay. Let me. Uh, okay. I may not be able to solve that right now, Rohit. So it doesn't
No,
matter. So let me see if I can do that.
no
Yeah.
problem.
Okay.
As and
Yeah.
when you do
Okay.
it, we'll,
So,
we'll communicate it with the interested folks. Yeah.
sure. Okay. Okay. Good. Yeah. I think there is some issue. I'm sorry about that. We will anyway host it sometime. Yeah. Sure.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, okay. So I think some questions, Rohit, you told me was people were having questions on what proposal to submit. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
they,
There
yeah,
are
yeah. Okay.
two large questions. One is how do they submit? What do they
Mhm.
submit? How do
Okay.
they influence upon you? And how do
Yeah.
you evaluate?
Okay. So to start with, there is no like proposal as in a document to be done. We speak through code. So that means there is half-baked code in the GitHub. And when you see our page, you will see a link to the classroom assignment. Uh, Previously, the classroom assignment link was not really visible. So now I think if you see something called classroom assignment, it's a hyperlink. You can click on that one. It'll ask you to accept an assignment. When you do that, you get a GitHub repo for yourself, and it's a very simple thing, right? So it's a function that calculates an average in an array of numbers. But when you think of this array of numbers as being IoT readings, then many things come alive. What if the reading is inconsistent? What if the reading is defective? What if the sensor is not working? These are the kind of things. And what should an average function do in that case? So you have to look at it again from a consumer point of view, but you may not realize what that is. So we just want you to complete the code first. And okay, so there is a basic code that calculates average, but we want you to take care of error situations as well. So if you can think of extra error situations, you can write more tests for them. If you don't do that and just pass the basic build, then we will give you more tests to write. So once you have written at least one extra test, then the submission is complete. because there are actually way more submissions than what we expected. So I'll take some time to review them. So you might get comments after maybe 2 or 3 days after submitting. So kindly bear with that. But the flow is that you accept the GitHub assignment, complete the code, wait for one round of comments, and then that round of comments will have some comments about your code and also uh, some more comments on the on adding a new test case. Once you have done that, then your submissions are complete. We will give you some final comments. You can of course go ahead and keep modifying the code. I will keep reviewing it, and then finally we will have the selection. But it's mandatory. You have to attempt it 2 times. So one time for the initial submission, one time to respond to our comments, and that's the minimum. And yeah, oh, good. Okay. Okay, I think I can see a question from Ritik. You're asking if the front end is written in Flutter as one of the tech stack, then what if one has worked on Android Studio? It's perfectly okay. Flutter is, it takes very less time to learn Flutter, especially if you have worked on Android Studio. Uh, but okay, if you have not, if you have worked on Android, I assume by Android Studio you mean Java or Kotlin. If you have not worked on Java Kotlin and if you have not worked on Flutter also, it's not a problem, uh, because in the 3 months internship, I wouldn't expect that you will uh, develop something completely new, which you completely are not familiar with. So the project will be cut into very small pieces like a classic agile flow, and then you will be working on the pieces. But at the end, you will have something coherent to present. It's not like you'll work on some piece one day, some other piece some other day. You will be given a piece of that consumer driven data flow, and once you have done the entire like 3 months thing, you will have a story to tell from start to finish. Okay, the Ishan, you want to know more about the tech stack. uh, okay, so we are completely cloud hosted, so we use Azure as our cloud hosting environment. Azure has several different ways of letting you host your data and your functionality. We are using pretty much 2 or 3 ways. So one is a classic virtual machine. The other is deploying through Azure Functions. We are using Cosmos DB as well. The entire backend, so all of this hosting, what I told, is coded in Node.js with MongoDB. Okay, that is just the technology. As on purpose, we have kept the variety of technology low so that new people will need to learn less to contribute to the platform. The front end, as I said, is in Flutter. I'm not sure if you needed more detail.
Sudeep, while more questions would come,
Mhm.
uh, uh, how do they? Okay, there is one that has come, and then I'll ask.
Oh, sure. Okay. Are you using Docker and orchestration? Yeah, we are. So when I said we are hosting it on a virtual machine, what is on virtual machines is Docker. The orchestration, if you mean Kubernetes, we are not doing Kubernetes. The orchestration is done via basic Docker Compose. Okay, but the project will not be about Docker or orchestration. So just to be clear, you will not be working on Docker or orchestration inside the project which we are going to do the internship for.
So while they're building their project proposals to impress upon you,
Mhm.
if any of them would want to connect with you, you there on the Discord server, is there?
Yeah,
They can keep pushing their requests to you there and ask questions,
yeah,
right?
yeah, definitely, Rohit. You can keep asking me questions on Discord. And like I said, yeah, there is no big proposal to make. We are more interested in seeing how you can specify a problem. So tests are a way to specify the problem. So the more clearly or more concisely you can specify the test, the more impressive it will be. So for us, that's the main thing. I mean, to translate a business requirement into IT, the specification skill is the main thing what we are looking for, and we are looking for it in Node.js because uh, that's the way you will be implementing in the internship as well. Yeah. Okay. So the Discord link.
We're pushing it
Manali
out.
sir, okay.
Pushing it
Okay. Sure. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Rohit. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So uh, uh, there's another question. Is there any way in which you can see the code and contribute to it as it is open source? You mean Flutter itself is open source? You can, of course, contribute to it, though that contribution will not be part of the internship. So the way you will start is, of course, consumer driven is you start with the app. But very soon we get to the API of the app and start designing that API. So the story will more or less start with the Node.js boundary itself. There won't be too much work in Flutter. Okay, I think yeah, Sonal, I'll anyway maybe give you the classroom assignment in the Discord. Otherwise, I can also quickly give the assignment link over here itself. Just a moment. Yeah. In the meantime, keep the questions coming.
Very more operational questions, Sudeep. Is it work from home or office?
Work from home fully. If you like to come to office, you are welcome. But yeah, work from home. Yeah, office is in Rajajinagar, Bangalore, but no need to come to office. Yeah, the link is coming up.
Sharing with us.
Yeah, private chat.
Okay, perfect. I'll push this out right away.
Sure. Yeah. I'm just seeing if I left out any questions. Okay. Okay. Once again, sorry about the link. It was asking permission. Let me see. Yeah. Okay. I can push it on Discord also. No problem. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Rohit. The last link is the GitHub Classroom link. You can also. Yeah.
I pushed that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone, yeah. Is there
Okay.
any
So
number? Last
yeah,
question, more
number. Yeah.
question again. Now, is there any
Okay.
number of people that you decided how many would essentially be working with you, externing with you?
Yeah. Our the total strength of our company is like totally it's 20 people, out of which 12 are developers. So we are looking for six. That's what I had in mind. But of course, if we get exceptional talent, then we can go more. But I really we cannot handle more than six. I feel we have to also give attention to you. Yeah, good. Yeah,
Last question. Absolutely
yeah.
last question. We'll let you go then.
No, no problem. I can stay. No problem. So Pranal is asking how can we contribute to Numocity outside the GitHub externship. Uh, there are
Sudeep,
some
there would
protocols.
be situation, Sudeep,
Yeah,
wherein Pranali decides to work with some other organization, yet she wants
mhm.
to contribute to you, or you do
Yeah.
not select her, yet she wants to contribute to you. So in that respect, how do you address this question?
Yeah, so okay, I'm really a coder. So first I'll answer from the coding perspective, then maybe from the non-coding. Okay, so we have a GitHub a link which is also mentioned in the externship website. If you go to that, you will see an OCPI probe. OCPI is a roaming protocol for electric vehicle charging. A very interesting protocol. Actually, study of the protocols can also give you a lot of direction of the industry. So I would even if you don't want to code, I would still encourage you to look at the protocol and study it, because it's going to be one of the protocols in the policy making of EV in many countries. So contributing to the OCPI probe, which is the open source in the GitHub, so you can fork that repo and contribute to it. There is already a lot of code in that, but first you will have to look at the OCPI protocol and then afterwards contribute to that. On the non-coding part, it's a big mystery how a charging operator makes money, which no charging operator has cracked till now. So if you're more on the marketing side, or if you're good with financials, then yeah, you could reach out to us yeah, with any, if you've done a survey or if you want to propose a new business model and those kind of, everybody has to make money finally, though we all want green energy and things like that. So that's a mystery nobody has cracked till now. So anything in that direction would be appreciated.
Thank you so much, Sudhir, for your time. I think we were right on the button. Thank you
Yeah,
so much, and
yeah,
and and we look forward to interact with you more often than this. Then,
yeah. Thanks, Rohit, and
Bye.
thanks everyone for joining. Yeah,
Sure.
see you.
Bye.
Bye.
Hi, Mohammed. We can't see you. We
Hi, hi.
can. Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good.
Would Abhishek also be joining? Shall we wait or shall we
Yeah,
begin?
yeah, yeah, yeah. He texted me he is joining.
Okay. While Abhishek is joining, we are trying to uh, give you a sense of what we are looking at when you are preparing the project reports or your submissions for the projects. Of course, we need your basic information as name and contact details, idea that you're working on or the project that you're working on, its synopsis, your thoughts on what you've written, how does it make an impact, what's the execution plan, what are you delivering through the period of the externship to the partner organization, and any other work that you could showcase to impress upon the mentor like Mohammed and Abhishek. So meanwhile, I'll start introducing what Frappe does, and Abhishek would join, and then maybe we could quickly do the introduction again. Oh, he's there. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Hi, Abhishek.
Hi.
Hi. Hey everyone. So we have Abhishek and Mohammed Hasnain from Frappe. Frappe is a open source product that helps enterprises uncomplicate running and growing their businesses. The product of Frappe blur line between the art and power by staying simple, aesthetic, and versatile. Frappe framework, open source and low code, enables rapid application development and provides a platform for everyone to create apps and extensions to its product. Frappe is a cohesive community that has excellence and democracy at its core, and Frappe is completely a remote organization. And then I think that question won't come whether it's a in-office internship or a remote working. So over to you, Abhishek and Mohammed. The idea of this conversation is for you to explain about the organization, about the project, and what are you expecting from these externs. Over to you both. Thank you.
So, like Rohit mentioned it very well. At Frappe, what we're trying to do is we are creating products that will help you run your business smoothly, and we're using open source here because it's a very incredibly powerful system where a lot of people, all the stakeholders, the people who will actually use your product can also give back and suggest improvements and things like that. So every product that's come out of Frappe is been open source and free software. And so yeah, and one of the biggest products that has come out is ERP Next, and ERP Next is a tool to help manage your businesses, be it accounting, HR, and everything is very neatly packaged into one. And since it's open source, we have a huge community of users who test out the features, and they suggest improvements and localizations for different areas, where there are some rules require some changes. And the and like, it's quite beautiful to see, like, all so many people use the product. At the same time, they're all adding that value back, even if the product is not paid for them. So they are adding back that value back, and this collaborative development helps us on like a lot of fronts. So that's about the open source aspect of Frappe. And apart from that, like, every employee here is made to feel like they have a say in all the major decisions. So a lot of all the decisions here, every major decision here has a vote. And every employee can, if they think there's a decision has, if they have any objections, they can raise it and have their voice word heard. And uh, there's a really good culture around this. And also, apart from that, there's a lot of individual freedom, because like a society is basically a collection of individuals. And it's a and basically the ways the society grows is when an individual has his freedom to basically apply himself, and to contribute back. So a lot, there's like there's no strict work timings. You can choose your own work, and there's a lot of freedom in the projects that you can choose. And yeah, so that is yeah, basically. And from GitHub, what we are expecting is, first thing, this is an incredible opportunity for Frappe to have our like our company basically spoken about in front of all the new students who are going to graduate very soon. And we would want you guys to be a part of this family too. And our actual goal is basically to to see if the interns can become full, and would they want to become full-time interns. And just for them to have a taste of how do you work in an organization like this, and how do you contribute to open source products. And I hope, so even if any student choose not to join, right, I hope they'll keep contributing to other projects elsewhere. And basically improve their skill set at the same time. Yeah. And Hasnan, do you want to say some words?
Yes, I think we have like a good framework and I think a deployment environment uh, which which works for us right now. People do all those self deployments, and there are thousands of ERPNX sites running all over the world, right? In multiple languages that a lot of us don't even understand. So what we are expecting is to grow this open source project and all those projects around it that we can build. And like, yeah, I think it's mostly it's about giving back to the community. So yeah, I think
Uh, I think like we will give you like an overview of the major projects that are going on at Frappe. So Hassan, can you just share your screen and show the GitHub page?
yes,
Yeah.
a GitHub
So
page would be cool.
yeah, I'll paste the link in the chat too. Uh, so basically, this is the GitHub organization. And every bit of code that has been written in the company, you'll find it here someplace. And you can see the reviews. It's quite transparent. And yeah, I mean, so you'll have an idea of the expectation of how your code should be. And there's a contributor guidelines for each repository too. And then you see all the pull requests and how all the test system happens. So the thing about, so when I was a student, right, so I could code, right, I could make pretty much anything I wanted to. But the problem was to, how do I know what are the best industry standards, right? How do I know whether what I'm doing is the right way, like an organized way to build a very large code repository that's maintainable. So this is a great opportunity to see that. And like how code is added to large repositories, and how what all steps are taken before that. So I would recommend every student to basically open up the pull request tab, and open up the pull request tab, and see, go through all the PRs and go through the review process, see how the tests are running. And all the information is out there for you guys to learn. So Frappe is an organization. So Frappe framework is like the core of everything. It's the heart. So we have, it's a web framework, and it's a low code web framework where most of the things can happen with just configuration. For example, all these the batteries included, right? So all these different sections, we don't have to write HTML or CSS for this, or even JavaScript. Just try fill in some entries in a form, and all of this will be generated. So we have a lot of these reusable UI components. Everything here, right? They're all reusable UI components, and most of them can be and there are like there's a very good event system around it, so you can customize them to do a lot of different things. For example, and the core of the core object here is in Frappe framework is called a doc type. So what a doc type is basically, it's like a class, right? It's like a class where you have all your properties, and you can have all your functions surrounding any object. And for example, like I'd shown you, like Hassan had shown before, right? The that section in the web page. So somewhere there is a doc type for that section too, where you can just add the details like metadata first, everything in Frappe is a doc type, etc., etc., and then you can populate more of them, and Frappe will do everything for you. So this is a metadata driven approach. And even if you want to create any custom UIs, it's quite simple. There are a lot of uh, helpers available for different sort of things. If be it something related to time conversion or currency conversion, everything is comes out of the box. And even so, yeah, this is a child table feature where you can link, and all of these can have like a link, be linked to each other, and work harmoniously in a very, it's quite elegant if you understand. And once, if any students are, right, you can please feel free to ask any doubts that you have in the Discord group. And we would prefer if you guys would join us in our Telegram group, because we check Telegram more regularly. There we can answer your doubts quicker. And yeah, and this is the frappeframework.com is the documentation website. That here you can understand all the features here that are available in the framework. And based on this, maybe you'll have an idea of how you can leverage this framework or something of your own. So, for an example of how versatile this is, not only does our a lot of our products are using this. For example, this wiki application. So this entire page is a Frappe application itself. This entire page is a Frappe application itself. It's just using the Frappe framework. And from this to ERP Next, it's ERP Next. The entire application uses the Frappe framework, and the UI components defined inside it. And not only that, so erpnext.com is our SaaS platform. I hope if you don't know what a SaaS platform is, just maybe look it up. So this is just a place where you can sign up and have an instance of ERP Next installed for yourself, and you'll have your own login and everything, and you can create your own users inside it. And we have more than like a couple of thousand sites on this particular platform. And we have created a system to manage the servers, do updates, and all these various activities. And even that application itself is written in Rapid framework. So it's quite versatile, and you're only limited by your imagination. And going on to and frappecloud.com. So this is our past platform. So if you guys have ever played around with Heroku, right? So in Heroku, what do? You just point the Heroku to your particular repository, and there you can just give in some configuration details in your proc file, and then the site can be deployed. So this is basically Frappe Cloud is basically a PaaS platform where you can manage multiple sites, and connect them to your own custom application repositories, etc. So yeah, so basically this is our company website. Here you can come across all the different products that we have. And I would recommend everyone to go through the blog. We are a lot of us, we put a lot of effort into writing blogs to explain the various aspects of the company, all the work that we're doing. And this will be like a good insight for students to see what's actually going on at Frappe. Yeah, so yeah, like you can see a blog by Hasnain here, where he's given like his year experience over a year, something like this can will give you an idea. And so yeah, basically, and yeah, basic. And so right now the projects that we are looking for in the externship, our first thing is the framework team. So Hasnain works for the Frappe framework team, where, like, for example, if you need an additional feature in the framework, that every app can basically use, like if some feature that ERP Next could use that could be generalized for everyone, then Hasnain is the one who makes this. So who makes these features, and they'll be added to the peer repository. So maybe we'll give out our GitHub usernames too later on in our Telegram group. You guys can see all the contributions done by like say Hasnain, for example, so that you'll have an idea of what kind of work. So there are two types of projects. One is framework, and I work for the DevOps team. So what the DevOps team does is we have different installations of ERP Next, and some of them are on a SaaS platform, some of them are on uh, some of them are on the Frappe cloud, and some of them are all self-hosted. So since ERP Next is an open source tool, the customers have a option to install the entire application and on their own server, so that they are in control of the data and access and things like that. What the DevOps team does is it manages all of these sites, but be it pushing on releases. So as soon as you have your code written and merged, what happens next? So when do the customers get the fixes installed on them, and how do you? So we are a team of three managing uh, erpnext.com, the SaaS platform, and self-hosted customers. And in terms of number of customers, it's like in the clearly in a couple of thousand around about, and three people can manage all of this stuff, and that can only happen with automation. So that's where the DevOps team comes in, where we create these systems so that a lot of these automations can be done, so that we can manage scale. And so one of the project, I'll start with this, and Hasnain can go on with the framework projects after this. So continuous delivery. So basically, self-hosted customers right now, the way we access them is through SSH, because on self-hosted customers there are usually a lot of separate restrictions. So what we need basically is a job runner. So what the job runner will do is, like for example, if you want to update the site, right, it will go to the customer site, and it will log in through SSH, and it will perform, like run a bunch of commands, that will basically for example, take a backup before, and make sure all the dependencies are intact, make sure all the services are running properly, and then update the code, and then migrate the databases, and there are a lot of steps involved. So all of these are being automated right now, and basically, and it's automated, and they're also working. What we need is, and we are using Jenkins for this reason. So Jenkins is a job runner tool, and Ansible is basically a way where you can execute a bunch of commands on a remote server through SSH, and you can define them in a script, and you can have a few conditions, and based on those conditions particular commands will run, and you can have the same script run on multiple servers at the same time. So the idea here is we want to leverage these two things and but trigger all of these jobs from Frappe itself. So we basically looking for a job management system written inside Frappe, so that in the same app, in the same website, so all of our work is also driven through Frappe.io. So even inside Frappe.io, if I want a customer site to be updated, like I need to have a interface here where I can trigger and manage the jobs and get the logs from there, and basically update us. And in case something breaks, right, if the particular activity breaks, inform the right team member at the time, and assign them tasks. And there's a lot of work like this. And yeah, this is stage one. And the stage two, once the front end is ready, we can have the entire job running platform written in Frappe framework itself. So it's one whole big project where you'll have something like Jenkins that's been created in Frappe framework itself. So if anybody else wants to use this feature, they can just install this particular app with so this is all going to go into an app now, which is going to be released in some time, and then the businesses can just start using this to manage their own customers, then to manage their own different automations. So yeah, that's the idea of this project. And I can understand, I mean, DevOps is some area that is not like this. There's a lot of domain knowledge involved, stuff that is probably not taught in your college. But if you just go through Ansible, go understand some basic things about Ansible, and how it works, and maybe learn it locally, that's about the main requirement for this. And apart from that, we'll also be needing the students to be like to go to have like a knack for product development, where they can create a feature out of where they can see a problem, and you suggest a feature or solutions to it, and then you create a feature out of it. So these are the two things that are needed for this particular project. And if you have any doubts about this project, do ping me, and rest Hasnain will go through one by one.
Yes, thanks Abhishek for giving a nice overview. So I'll quickly go through these projects. So this is like a drag and drop builder. So what happens is, as Abhishek said, everything is a doc type over here, right? So yeah, so considering this as a doc type, this the doc type is actually a table in a database with all of these extra stuff. So we can define things like an image field or a link field or a check field or a text field or a date time field, right? You can define over here. It writes it to it creates a table by that configuration. It also creates a form, right? So all of this is bootstrap, right? Okay, yeah. So this will allow you to add all the things that we define. So right now, as you can see, it's all in a table, and you have to write these. What we are expecting to be done is making it a very good drag and drop thingy. So considering it, so if you have used Notion or something, right, you click edit over here, and then you can actually edit all of these fields in line. So we have a workspace builder of this sort. So you can like edit this thingy, and then you can like drag and drop stuff around. We want to push this design idea into multiple parts in the framework. One of this is the doc type, editing a form or a report and stuff like that. The same thing we also want to add in this thing, right? As we said, okay. So this entire thing is actually a web page, and you can like add a section, add a comic and stuff like that. Similar to doc type, it is right now filling in a table. We also want it to be drag and drop, so you should be able to like edit all these things in line. So yeah, a drag and drop inline editor sort of thing for our forms and for our web page. So similar projects, but yeah, they'll require a different approach to solve these problems. And maybe if it works out, we can like what do you say, commonify all those things and make everything drag and droppable in the entire framework. And whatever change you do in the framework actually translates to each of those products. So if this thing is done in framework, it goes to ERPNext wiki and ERPnext.com. All those platforms use the exact same thing that we commonify. So this is expecting in these first two things. It's not just UI. Yeah, there are a lot of things like creating tables and all. So yeah, those things would be required too. So we have a file system in place, so you can upload files. You can like do stuff like compressing files. We want to like make it much better, making it a full like what do you say, a really good online file storage system, something like Google Drive or something. So what we want is being able to create thrashing, create folders, like editing files and stuff like that. So this is like improving our file system. A lot of it is already there since ERP Next and all use files a lot, but yeah, we want to build it as a feature in itself. Um, so the other projects are the icon builder. So as you can see, we have a lot of icons over here. This one, this one, this one. Right now we store it in a SVG and we pull it out. What we want is since ERP Next and Frappe is very configurable, you can write server scripts over here. What I mean by server scripts is you can write some Python code in over here and you can make it run at a specific event. So what this gives is when a user is using a product like ERP Next, they can actually write some code over here and their thing changes. They don't have to like edit it on GitHub, push it, pull it, and then deploy it. So what this icon builder, we want a something similar for icons too. You can actually design an icon and change any of these icons. It's like creating a very good wrapper around the SVG files that we use. This will be very, what do you say, useful for like a lot of other products and all. Yeah, standardized form web Frappe web components. This is another cool project where what we want is stuff like this nav bar. Right now it's written in HTML. Like we have put stuff like tables and messages into databases. We also want these components to actually stay in database. So what this means is when I click over here, I see this thing. Some of it is actually hard coded because like this assigned to message, right? We want this to stay in the database so user can go and edit it. So everything should actually be abstracted. We have done work in this direction, so a lot of things are already abstracted and being able to monkey patch things all over the framework, making it really extensible. So our goal is to make a no code framework, so you don't have to write code for building apps. And people are building cool stuff over Frappe framework without even writing a line of code. So yeah, that's happening. So this is another project in that direction. Zero downtime migrations is when you make some DB changes and you submit that application, then you actually deploy it. It has to make all those database changes, and during this entire time, our site is like in maintenance mode. We want to apply some heuristics over here. We have ideas. What we want to do is we don't want to it to stay in maintenance mode. We want some parts of the site to run. So this is like at the intersection of what a DevOps engineer or a application engineer does. So yeah, you'll have get to talk with a lot of different people in this. Okay. So as we said, this is a framework and people are building apps over it. So we want to build a app dependency management like Pip. So imagine you are building something as cool as Pip, right? Every Frappe app would be using it. So we have some steps in this direction. We have apps. They check which version of which app they need to run, but we want to make it as good as Pip, right? Yeah. This is like a what do you say intermediate level project or slightly difficult among the other projects that are listed above. We expect a bit better what do you say understanding of Python, low level systems and stuff like that. Mobile pause, this is the only mobile project that we have. We expect to build a mobile version of the point of sale application that we have. So we have this thing in ERP next. So you might have gone to supermarkets or tailors, right? They have this black screen where they where they like scan barcodes and then like you buy stuff. We have a very cool alternative for that, but then it is web based, and we want it to run on systems, right? So that it's fast, that it gets all those cool things that a desktop app can have. So we are expecting it to build it on mobile, so we can use stuff like mobile technologies. We don't have a decision on which technology, but then we expect people to know stuff like Python and MariaDB so that all those interfaces can be built. So yeah, it was a very quick overview. All this is on the website, and then I think we should now go towards questions. And yeah, I'll stop sharing my screen and
So one more thing for the students. Okay, what are you expecting in the proposal? So a lot of the times when as soon as we say there's a proposal, like a lot of students are get hung up on the like format. You know, how do I format it? What information? So what we're looking for in the proposal is that you've seen the project, you understand what it means, and you've tried to provide a solution for this or like an approach on how you're going to do this, and like from a very like a moving part sort of way, and also about why we should if you've worked on any of these particular tools before, so that you have some experience that you could show, and you could maybe talk about yourself and about your like previous experience, and even if not experience, even if not, you can say that this is what I'm looking forward to do, and this is a preparation that I have for this particular project. It's quite there's no very strong format. It's up to you. Yeah, this is, I think, the same question. Uh, Looking for a good solution flow. So yeah, I mean, sure, we are actually looking for a good solution flow, but we don't want to restrict students, based on what format that you do, whether how many diagrams that you put in it. We just want to see your understanding of the project.
yes, I think it's about understanding and the skill that we don't expect like a full solution document or something. Uh, Give us text or images, whatever you feel comfortable. It should just show that you can convey or like you can do proper technical communication, I guess. You should be able to communicate your thoughts. Can I apply?
Also,
Yeah,
if you
man.
do
If you
not
can
have,
show your skills, yes. We even take people on jobs if they can show their skills.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we are very
So
open. If you can do the job, you are welcome.
yeah, it's about how you convince us, right? I mean, and it's so you have your like the dev test, right? The dev test, we have purposefully not kept a timeline for this, and we're not going to say that how much time did you take for this, but if you've learning this from scratch, right, and if you could do a very good dev test and you figured things out, that's like a good point. Then you could probably be selected if that works out.
We're right on the button. I just wanted to understand one or two or ask one or two questions. While you've already addressed those, I would request you to address how best is for the students to contact you while we've set up a Discord server. Is there a way they can reach out to you over the email as well?
One second, I'll just share a link.
I think yeah, Telegram would be the quickest because we used internally a lot. I mean, we are ready to be available all those times. So feel free to. I think we have created a channel that Abhishek would be sharing. So
I've
yeah,
shared it with Rohit. Can you just please
can
share?
always do emails and all. But then yeah, that would be a bit slower because yeah, emails are
Right.
slow.
Yeah, so like I would suggest you guys don't like email us because we don't check email as frequently, but Telegram is like the best way. We're going to reply in the same day, and any doubts, right? There are no dumb questions. Just ask, as long as you understand India. Yeah. And we'll help you out throughout the entire process, right from understanding the framework and all the little moving parts of it till the end, like the end of the project where you'll merge your code and the product will be deployed. So there will be guidance.
This is the I'm assuming this is where the Frappe page has all the details of all the projects. So we had pushed that. I'll just put it out here. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to towards the end, Abhishek, you were there last year as well.
Right.
One quickly in a Twitter like, how was your experience and what are you expecting from these externs this year?
Okay.
So it's
So
largely same academic institution, same community. So
yeah, so last year we were quite surprised by the like how great interns that we got, right? And right off the bat, right, they did their research and there was like a lot of initiative from their end. So and all the projects that we have taken last year, they're all been completed, all the work has been done, and we are quite satisfied with this. And even this year, what we're looking forward is basically we are looking for like to notice that little spark in you, like that you want to make things, you want to solve problems, and you want to work and and also we were also looking for like-minded people who think there should be democracy, and there should not be like information hierarchy when it comes to products at least, and this open like the whole open source initiative, and and even if not, right, even if you disagree, we need people who want to be a part of these conversations, right, who want to so yeah, basically a lot of these things, I think I read a question someplace that what if my English is a little bit here and there. I That's not a problem, and as long as you can complete the tasks that are there, as long as you can communicate effectively with all your team members, and as long as you have the right attitude for the job and the right skill set, that's all that stuff is fine. So basically, yeah, that's how I'll put it in the end, and I'm quite excited to interact with the students, and do feel free to reach out to both of us.
no, thank you, both of you. Thank you for your time,
Yeah.
and we look forward to have you more often than this with us. Thank you so much. Bye everyone. One of the things that every project owner has said: research before you start submitting your ideas. So do thorough research on the projects that are listed, and then start making more customized solutions and ideas to impress upon these mentors. Thank you everyone. Have a good day. Good night. Good night everyone.
Thank you.